I'm fine. 2 words. A million lies hidden inside them. You ask someone how they're doing. They smile. They say those 2 words. And you believe them. But what if I told you that behind that smile, behind those words, there's a war happening? A war nobody sees. A war nobody talks about. A war they fight alone every single day. Welcome to the hidden world of people who pretend to be okay. Today, we're going to talk about something that affects millions but gets spoken about by almost no one. The psychology of masking pain, of hiding hurt, of smiling when you're breaking. And by the end of this, you might realize you know someone living this way. Or maybe you'll realize that person is you. Let's start with a simple question. Why do people pretend? You'd think it would be easier to just tell the truth. To say, I'm not okay, when you're not. To ask for help when you need it. But for so many people, pretending feels safer than honesty, easier than vulnerability, less risky than the truth. Think about it. When was the last time someone asked, "How are you?" and actually wanted a real answer? Most of the time, it's just a greeting, a formality. Nobody really wants to hear about your sleepless nights, your anxiety, your depression, your struggle. So you learn. You learn to give them what they want. I'm fine. I'm good. Everything's great. And slowly, without even realizing it, that becomes your default, your automatic response, your mask. But here's what most people don't understand. Pretending to be okay isn't just about lying to others. It's about lying to yourself. Because if you admit you're not okay, you have to do something about it. You have to face it, feel it, deal with it. And for many people, that feels impossible, too overwhelming, too scary, too much. So they bury it, push it down, lock it away, and put on that smile, that mask, that performance of being fine. Psychologists have a term for this. They call it emotional suppression, or emotional masking. It's when you hide what you really feel and show the world something different, something safer, something more acceptable. And here's the thing, we all do it sometimes. That's normal. That's human. You don't tell your boss you're having a panic attack during the meeting. You don't break down crying at the grocery store. You hold it together until you get home. That's okay. That's survival. That's getting through the day. But for some people, the mask never comes off. Not even at home. Not even alone. Not even when they're safe. The performance becomes their life. And they forget what it feels like to be real. This is what psychologists call smiling depression, or high-functioning depression. It's when someone looks perfectly fine on the outside. Happy, successful, put together. But inside, they're drowning, struggling, barely holding on. They go to work. They smile. They laugh. They do everything they're supposed to do. And then they go home, lock the door, and fall apart. But by morning, the mask is back on. And nobody knows. Nobody suspects. Nobody sees. This is more common than you think. Way more common. Studies have shown that many people with depression never look depressed. They function. They succeed. They thrive, at least on the surface. But underneath, there's pain, exhaustion, a constant feeling of emptiness that no achievement can fill. And the most heartbreaking part? They often don't seek help because they don't think they deserve it. Other people have it worse, they tell themselves. I should be grateful. I have no reason to be sad. So they keep pretending, keep pushing, keep smiling, until one day, they can't anymore. Let's talk about where this starts. Because most people who pretend to be okay didn't just wake up one day and decide to hide their feelings. It usually begins in childhood, with messages we receive about emotions, about crying, about being weak. Maybe you were told big boys don't cry, or stop being so sensitive, or you're fine, quit making a fuss. Maybe your parents meant well. They thought they were teaching you to be strong, resilient, tough. But what you actually learned was, your feelings are inconvenient. Your pain is a burden. Your struggles should be hidden. So you learn to hide them, to push them down, to pretend everything was fine even when it wasn't. And that became your pattern, your default, your way of surviving. Or maybe it was different. Maybe your family was going through something hard. Divorce, financial stress, illness, and you learn not to add to their burden, to be the easy kid, the one who didn't cause problems, the one who was always okay. So you swallowed your own pain, your own needs, your own struggles, because making yourself small felt like the kindest thing you could do. Either way, you learned the same lesson. Pretending is safer than truth. And that lesson followed you into adulthood, into your relationships, into your work, into every part of your life. Now let's talk about what this looks like in real life. Because people who pretend to be okay don't just hide their sadness. They hide everything. They smile when they want to cry. They laugh when they feel empty. They say yes when they mean no. They help others when they desperately need help themselves. They're the friend who's always there for everyone else. The coworker who never complains. The partner who seems so strong, so stable, so together. But inside, they're exhausted, running on empty, barely holding on. And here's the cruel irony. The better they are at pretending, the less support they get. Because everyone thinks they're fine. Everyone assumes they have it all figured out. Everyone believes the performance. So nobody checks in. Nobody asks twice. Nobody sees past the mask. And the person pretending? They feel more alone than ever. Because they're surrounded by people, but nobody really knows them. Nobody sees the real them. Nobody knows they're struggling. And that loneliness? That's the worst part. Not the sadness. Not the anxiety. Not the depression. The loneliness of suffering in silence. Of being invisible while standing right in front of people. Let me tell you what happens to your body when you pretend to be okay all the time. Because emotional suppression isn't just a mental thing. It's physical too. Research has shown that when you consistently hide your emotions, your body keeps the score. Your stress levels stay elevated. Your heart rate increases. Your blood pressure rises. You might get headaches, stomach problems, muscle tension, chronic pain. You might have trouble sleeping, trouble eating, trouble concentrating. Your immune system weakens. You get sick more often, take longer to recover. And the exhausting part? You have no idea why. Because you've convinced yourself you're fine. So you go to doctors, get tests, try medications, but nothing really helps. Because the problem isn't physical, it's emotional. It's all the feelings you've been pushing down for years finally demanding to be felt. Your body is trying to tell you something, but you've gotten so good at ignoring it that you can't hear the message anymore. And here's another thing. When you suppress negative emotions, you don't just lose access to sadness or anger or fear. You lose access to joy too, to excitement, to love, to all of it, because you can't selectively numb. When you shut down the bad, you shut down the good too. So life starts to feel flat, gray, empty, like you're just going through the motions, but not really living. People call this emotional numbness, and it's one of the most common symptoms of long-term emotional suppression. You're not sad, you're not happy, you're just nothing. And that nothing feels worse than anything. Now here's the question nobody wants to ask. What about the people around you? The ones who know you? Don't they notice? Don't they see you're not okay? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. The truth is, people believe what you show them. If you say you're fine, they believe you're fine. Not because they don't care, but because your performance is so convincing. And also, because it's easier to believe the mask than to confront what's underneath. Seeing someone struggle is uncomfortable. It requires us to do something. Say something. Be there for them. And sometimes people don't know how. So they choose to believe you're okay. Because that's simpler. But there are people who notice. Who see past the smile. Who know something's wrong. And when they ask, when they push, when they say, I know you're not really fine, how do you respond? Usually with more pretending, more deflecting, more, I promise I'm okay, you don't need to worry. Because letting someone see the real you feels terrifying, vulnerable, like handing them the power to hurt you. So you keep the mask on, even when it's slipping, even when you're desperate for someone to see through it. And that creates this painful paradox. You're hiding because you feel alone, but you feel alone because you're hiding. Let's talk about something important. The difference between privacy and pretending. Privacy is healthy. It's choosing what to share and when. It's having boundaries. It's protecting your inner world. Pretending is different. Pretending is lying to others and to yourself. Privacy says, I'm going through something, but I don't want to talk about it right now. That's okay. That's allowed. Pretending says, I'm not going through anything. Everything's perfect. I'm totally fine. That's a lie. And the problem with lying is that you start to lose touch with reality, with yourself, with what's true. You've been pretending so long that you don't even know how you really feel anymore. Someone asks if you're okay, and you genuinely don't know the answer because you've been on autopilot for so long. This is dangerous because you can't heal what you won't acknowledge. You can't fix what you pretend doesn't exist. And so the pain grows, the struggle deepens, the mask gets heavier, until one day it becomes too much to carry. Here's something that might surprise you. People who pretend to be okay are often the most at risk, not for a breakdown, for something worse. Because here's the thing about typical depression. When someone is visibly depressed, when they can barely get out of bed, when they're clearly struggling, they usually don't have the energy to act on dark thoughts. But people with smiling depression, they have the energy, the ability, the means. They're functioning, working, moving through life. So if those dark thoughts come, they have the capacity to follow through. And because nobody saw it coming, because they seemed so fine, it's even more shocking, more devastating, more impossible to understand. But they were just laughing yesterday. They seemed so happy. They had everything going for them. That's what people say, because they believe the performance. They didn't see the pain hiding underneath. This is why pretending is so dangerous. Not just uncomfortable, not just exhausting. Dangerous, because the longer you hide, the harder it becomes to ask for help, and the more desperate you feel. So what's the way out? How do you stop pretending? It starts with one word: permission. Permission to not be okay. Permission to struggle. Permission to be human. You don't have to have a reason to feel bad. You don't have to justify your pain. You don't have to earn the right to struggle. If you're not okay, you're not okay. That's enough. That's valid. That matters. And you deserve support. You deserve help. You deserve to be seen. Not just the version of you that's smiling and strong and put together, but the real you, the messy you, the struggling you. That version deserves love too. Maybe even more. The next step is honesty. Starting small. Maybe you don't tell everyone. Maybe you just tell one person. Someone you trust. Someone who's safe. And you say the words. The real words. I'm not okay. I'm struggling. I need help. Those words might feel impossible. Your throat might close up. Your chest might tighten. Say them anyway, because saying them out loud makes them real. And real things can be dealt with, healed, changed. Pretend things just keep growing in the dark. You might also need professional help. A therapist, a counselor, someone trained to help you untangle years of emotional suppression. And that's not weakness. That's wisdom. That's courage. That's caring about yourself enough to get support. Therapy can help you understand why you started pretending, what you're afraid will happen if you stop, how to be vulnerable without feeling destroyed. It can teach you that emotions aren't enemies. They're messengers. They're information. They're part of being alive. And learning to feel them, even the uncomfortable ones, doesn't destroy you. It frees you. Here's what I want you to understand. If you're someone who pretends to be okay, you're not weak. You're not broken. You're not too much or not enough. You're someone who learned to survive by hiding. And that made sense at the time. It protected you when you needed protection. But you don't need that protection anymore. You're safe now, or you can find safety. And you deserve to take off the mask. To be real. To be seen. To be known. Not the performance. Not the pretend version. The actual you. Messy. Struggling. Imperfect. Human. That person is worthy of love, of support, of care. And if you're someone who loves a person who pretends to be okay, here's what you can do. Ask twice. When they say, I'm fine, ask again. Are you really? Because you seem like you're carrying something heavy. Create safety. Let them know that struggles don't make them a burden, that you can handle their honesty, that you want the real them, not the performance. Be patient. Taking off a mask that's been on for years doesn't happen overnight. Give them time, give them space, but keep showing up. And most importantly, believe them when they finally tell you the truth. Don't minimize it. Don't say it's not that bad or you'll be fine. Just listen. Just be there. Just let them know they're not alone anymore. Because that's what people who pretend to be okay need most. To know they're not alone. To know their pain matters. To know they don't have to carry it by themselves anymore. Here's the truth about pretending. It's exhausting. It's lonely. It's painful. But it also feels safer than the alternative. Safer than being vulnerable. Safer than being seen. Until one day you realize the mask that was protecting you has become the prison that's trapping you. And you can't breathe anymore. Can't feel anymore. Can't live anymore. That's when you have a choice. Keep pretending. Or take the mask off. And I know which one sounds scarier. Being real. Being vulnerable. Being honest. But here's what I also know. Pretending doesn't protect you from pain. It just makes you suffer alone. Being real might hurt, but at least you're not alone in it anymore. And that makes all the difference. So if you're reading this and you've been pretending, here's what I want you to hear. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to struggle. It's okay to need help. It's okay to take off the mask. You don't have to smile through the pain anymore. You don't have to carry it alone anymore. You don't have to pretend anymore. You can be real, messy, imperfect, struggling, and you can still be worthy of love, of support, of care. Actually, you'll be more worthy because you'll be genuine, authentic, true. And there's nothing more beautiful than someone who's brave enough to be real in a world that rewards pretending. If you saw yourself in this video today, I hope you know you're not alone. Millions of people are walking around wearing masks just like you. But those masks don't have to stay on forever. You can choose differently, starting right now. Starting with one honest moment, one real conversation, one step toward being seen. It won't be easy, but it will be worth it. Because life is too short to spend it pretending. And you are too valuable to keep hidden. Take off the mask. Let someone see you. Let yourself be known. That's where healing begins. That's where freedom lives. That's where you find yourself again.